The room was not very big, but it felt crowded. Chairs were placed close to each other. Soft yellow lights hung above, making everything look warm and calm. People stood in small groups, talking and laughing. Some held cups in their hands. Others leaned against the wall, enjoying the noise and comfort of being around familiar faces. In one corner of the room, slightly away from everyone else, there was a piano. It was old but clean, its black surface shining under the lights. It looked like it had been there for years, watching quietly as people came and went. Near that piano, a young woman sat alone. She did not speak much. She did not laugh loudly like the others. She kept her hands folded in her lap and her back straight, as if she was trying not to take up too much space. Her eyes moved slowly around the room, watching people without interrupting them. She had been like this for most of her life, not invisible, but unnoticed. People often thought she was shy. Some thought she was boring. Others simply did not think about her at all. She was used to it, even though it still hurt sometimes. She had come to this gathering because she was invited, not because she wanted attention. She liked quiet places. She liked listening more than speaking. Loud rooms made her heart beat faster, but she told herself to stay calm. She always did. Across the room, a group of people laughed loudly. One of them, a young man with an easy smile, enjoyed being the center of attention. He liked jokes. He liked making people laugh. He liked the feeling of being noticed. He was not a bad person. He did not wake up that day planning to hurt anyone. He just did not think much before speaking. Someone in the group mentioned the piano. "Does anyone here even know how to play that thing?" one person asked, laughing. A few people shrugged. Someone else joked that the piano was probably just for decoration. The young man glanced toward the corner. His eyes landed on the quiet woman sitting near the piano. She was close enough to hear them, though they did not notice that. He smiled wider. "What about her?" he said, pointing lightly in her direction. "She's been sitting next to it the whole time. Maybe she's hiding some talent." His tone was playful. The words were meant as a joke. A few people laughed. Some turned to look at her for the first time that evening. She felt it immediately. That sudden feeling of eyes on her skin made her shoulders tense. Her heart skipped a beat. She slowly looked up, confused, unsure why everyone was looking at her. The young man spoke again. "Come on," he said with a grin. "Why don't you give it a try? Let's hear something." More laughter followed. It was not cruel laughter, but it was careless, the kind that does not stop to ask how it feels on the other side. Her face grew warm. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Words did not come easily when she was nervous. She could feel her hands start to shake, so she pressed them together. She wanted to say no. She wanted to smile politely and make an excuse. She wanted to disappear into the chair beneath her. This was not how she wanted to be seen. People often misunderstood her silence. They thought silence meant weakness. They thought quiet meant nothing was happening inside. They were wrong. Inside her, memories rushed forward without asking permission. Late nights in a small room where only a lamp and a piano kept her company. Fingers sore from practice. Mistakes made again and again until they slowly became fewer. Music sheets filled with notes she once struggled to read, but now understood like a second language. She remembered the first time she touched piano keys as a child, how the sound felt bigger than her, how it filled spaces she did not know were empty. The piano had been her place to speak when words failed, but she had never played in front of people like this. Not like this. Not when she was not ready. Not when she was being laughed at, even if only a little. The room waited. Someone whispered, "Is she actually going to play?" The young man tilted his head, still smiling, thinking the moment was funny. She swallowed. Her mind told her to stay seated, to protect herself, to avoid embarrassment, to let the joke pass. But another feeling rose inside her, quiet but strong, tiredness, tired of being overlooked, tired of being the easy target, tired of holding back the one thing that had always been true about her. She took a slow breath, then she stood up. The movement was small, but it changed everything. The laughter faded, replaced by surprise. A few people straightened their posture. Others exchanged looks. She walked toward the piano. Each step felt heavy, like she was walking through water. Her heart beat loudly in her ears. She wondered if anyone could hear it. She reached the bench and stopped for a moment. Her fingers hovered over the keys, not touching them yet. The piano felt familiar, like an old friend she had not seen in a long time. Still, doubt whispered. What if she made a mistake? What if her hands froze? What if the joke turned into something worse? She closed her eyes. She reminded herself that she had played for empty rooms before. She had played for herself when no one else was listening. This piano did not care who was watching. The room grew quiet, not the comfortable kind of quiet, but the uncertain kind. The kind where people are not sure what is about to happen. The young man's smile slowly faded. He had not expected this. He had thought she would laugh it off, or say no. He suddenly felt unsure, but it was too late to take his words back. She sat down. The bench made a soft sound as she adjusted herself. She placed her hands on the keys, letting them rest there without moving. She took one more breath. For a moment, nothing happened. People shifted in their seats. Someone cleared their throat. Another checked their phone, thinking maybe this would take time. But she was not delaying. She was remembering every moment. When music had saved her from feeling alone. Remembering why she loved the piano in the first place. Remembering that this was her voice. Her fingers pressed down. The first note filled the room. It was gentle, clear, honest. The sound cut through the space, reaching every corner. Conversations stopped. Phones lowered. Heads lifted. No one laughed. The woman did not look up. She focused on the keys, letting her hands move as they knew how. Slowly, the music began to grow, not louder, but deeper. It carried feeling, like a story being told without words. The room listened. The young man felt something twist in his chest. He no longer felt like joking. He felt something closer to regret. But the music continued, and with every note, something shifted in the air. The joke was gone. What remained was anticipation, and the sense that something important had just begun. The music continued to flow through the room, slow and steady, like water finding its way through small cracks in stone. At first it moved gently, almost carefully, as if the sound itself was unsure whether it was welcome. Each note felt soft and shy, like it was stepping forward and then pausing, waiting to see if it should stay. Her fingers moved lightly across the keys, pressing them with care and patience, not force. It felt as if she was asking the piano for permission rather than demanding sound from it. The room listened without realizing it. People who had been restless moments earlier now sat still. Their bodies leaned forward slightly, not because they chose to, but because something inside them pulled them closer. The music did not rush. It took its time, like a quiet walk through memories that had been forgotten but not lost. Then something changed. The melody began to grow, not louder, not faster, just deeper. It felt fuller, like the music had found its courage. The sound carried more weight now, not in volume, but in meaning. People could feel it settle inside them, filling empty spaces they never noticed before. A few stopped breathing for a second without knowing why. Others felt a tightness in their chest that had nothing to do with sadness and everything to do with truth. The woman's shoulders slowly relaxed as she played. The fear that had lived in her chest earlier began to loosen its grip. The tension in her back faded. Her hands no longer shook. The piano no longer felt like an object placed in a room full of strangers. It felt familiar. It felt safe. It felt like home. She did not look at the audience. She did not need to. Her eyes stayed on the keys, watching her fingers move in ways they had practiced countless times before. But her mind was far away now, traveling back through years of quiet effort and unseen work. She remembered the long evenings spent alone, practicing while the world outside moved on without her. She remembered playing for empty rooms, where no one clapped and no one listened. She remembered doubting herself. She remembered asking herself if any of it mattered. All of those thoughts flowed into the music without her forcing them. Every note carried something real. Every pause held meaning. She was not trying to impress anyone. She was simply letting herself speak in the only language that had ever truly understood her. Every small pain found its place. Every quiet hope followed. Every moment of patience stayed. The notes rose and fell like breathing, natural and steady. Sometimes the sound was soft, almost fragile. Sometimes it grew strong, filled with quiet confidence. But it was always honest. There was nothing fake in it, nothing rushed, nothing borrowed in the crowd. Faces began to change. A woman standing near the wall felt her eyes fill with tears before she could stop them. She wiped them away quickly, surprised and a little embarrassed, unsure why the music had touched her so deeply. A man who had been smiling and joking earlier now sat still in his chair, his arms crossed tightly, staring at the floor as if the sound had unlocked something he had kept hidden for years. The young man who had made the joke stood frozen. His hands were no longer resting casually in his pockets. His smile had completely disappeared. His face felt warm, not from the room, but from a growing sense of regret. He watched her closely, his eyes wide, his chest heavy. In that moment, something became clear to him. He had seen her sitting quietly and assumed that was all she was. He had laughed without thinking. He had turned her into entertainment without knowing her story. Now, standing there, he felt small. The music reached a part that slowed again, heavier than before. The notes seemed to carry weight, like someone finally speaking truths they had kept buried for too long. It was not sadness, exactly. It was strength shaped by pain. Strength that had been earned slowly, through patience and silence. The room stayed completely still. No one dared to speak. No one dared to move. It felt as if even the walls were listening. The piano told a story without words, a story of being unseen, a story of staying strong without praise, a story of holding on when letting go would have been easier. It was a story of quiet courage, the kind that does not demand attention, but deserves it. As the melody began to rise again, something lifted inside the room. The heaviness softened. The weight turned into warmth. The music felt hopeful now, like light slowly entering through a small window that had been closed for years. People felt it. Some smiled without realizing it. Others felt their shoulders relax. The sound carried comfort, not excitement. It reminded them that something gentle could also be powerful. The woman's hands moved with confidence now. There was no hesitation left in her touch. She trusted herself completely. She trusted the music to carry what she could not say, and it did. When she reached the final part, she slowed again, letting the notes stretch longer than expected. She allowed the sound to stay in the air, fading naturally, as if giving the room time to breathe and understand what it had just felt. The last note disappeared. Silence followed. But it was not the uncomfortable silence from before. This silence was full of emotion, full of respect, full of understanding. For a few long seconds, no one moved. No one spoke. It felt wrong to break the moment too quickly. Then one person stood up, then another. Applause filled the room at first. It was soft, almost careful. Then it grew stronger, louder, more confident. Hands clapped, not out of politeness, but out of feeling. Some people smiled openly. Others wiped their eyes without trying to hide it anymore. The woman stood up slowly from the bench. She turned to face the room for the first time. Her face showed no pride, no anger, and no desire for attention. There was only calm, only quiet strength, only honesty. She gave a small nod, nothing more. The applause continued. The young man swallowed hard. His hands clapped too, but they felt heavy, as if each sound reminded him of his earlier words. When the clapping finally slowed, he stepped forward, his voice low. I'm sorry, he said quietly. The room went still again, this time filled with curiosity instead of tension. I didn't mean to make fun of you, he continued. I didn't know. She looked at him calmly. For a moment, he feared she might be angry, that she might turn away or stay silent. Instead, she gave a gentle smile. It's okay, she said softly. Most people don't know. Her voice carried no blame. Those words stayed with him longer than anything else that night. People slowly returned to their conversations. But something had changed. The room felt warmer, kinder, more thoughtful. People spoke more gently now. Some came up to her, thanking her quietly. Others simply nodded as they passed, offering respect without words. She did not stay long after that. She picked up her things and walked toward the door. No one stopped her. No one needed to. As she stepped outside, the cool air touched her face. She took a deep breath. Her heart felt light, not because she had proven something, but because she had allowed herself to be seen, not for approval, but for truth. Inside the room, people talked about the music, but also about themselves, about how easily they judged, about how often they overlooked quiet people. The young man sat back down, staring at the piano. He understood something important now. Talent does not always announce itself. Strength does not always speak loudly, and silence does not mean emptiness. As for the woman, she walked away with steady steps. She did not feel like a hero. She did not feel famous. She simply felt free. She had spoken in the language she knew best, and the world had listened.